Hey guys, what is going on? Retired Navy SEAL firearms instructor Chris Sajnog here, and in this video I am doing a review of the TTrigger dry fire trigger resetting magazine. Now let's go ahead and get started.
And joining us from San Diego, Chief Petty Officer Chris Sajnog.
Joining me now is retired Navy SEAL sniper Chris Sajnog.
Alright, today we are taking a look at the new TTrigger dry fire trigger resetting magazine. This device is used to reset the trigger of your Glock so you don't need to rack the slide every time you pull the trigger. Now I've been testing this out for a little over a month and I'm finally ready to share my thoughts. Now I should note that the company was kind enough to send this to me to test out. I did not pay for it, but just like with all the companies I work with, all the products I test and use, companies cannot pay me to do an ad for them. I only recommend products that I would use myself, that I do use myself, and that I think would benefit you. Now, one thing before we get started, this is not a clip. A clip is something that is designed to load ammunition into a magazine. Now, this is a magazine. A magazine is a device that holds ammunition to be fed into a firearm. So this technically is not a magazine. It's definitely not a clip. But to make it easier to understand, I will calm my inner sniper and I will be referring to this as a magazine. As you can see, it is red, so there's no confusion that this is an actual magazine, aka something that holds ammo to be delivered or fed into a firearm. These are all manufactured in Israel, and I can tell you from personal experience, Israel does have one of the best special forces groups anywhere in the world. The plastic they use is nylon reinforced for durability, and the company has tested this for a drop test from, I believe, 7 feet. So really, if you're training in any realistic training scenario, unless you're leaning over a balcony or at the top of a building and you do happen to drop it, it will be safe, it's not going to break. And also, all the metal parts in here are zinc coated, and that means that this will never rust. The TTrigger does work with most Glock models, but not all of them. So I will put a list of the ones it does work for and the ones it doesn't work for in the description of this video. All right, so why use a TTrigger for your dry fire practice or any practice, really? Well, number one, it is convenient. You can come home and you can get set up in less than a minute and start training. And what we repeat, we will remember. Just remember, consistency is king when it comes to learning any skill. So if you're consistently practicing every day, which you can do with something like the TTrigger, you're going to be getting better and better every day. You can get in a lot more practice in a lot shorter time. Literally, just put the magazine into your firearm and start training. With the TTrigger, you can practice a variety of realistic training scenarios, which is going to give you more confidence. Now, I hear a lot of people say that the best training you can do, and sometimes the only training you need to do, is on a live fire range. And I'm not saying that live fire is not important, critically important, but you cannot practice clearing your home or doing other realistic training scenarios with live fire training. So that is why a device like the TTrigger comes into play, so you can practice all of those scenarios in a 360 environment. This device is going to pay for itself. If you have purchased ammo anytime after, let's say, January 20th, 2021, you know that the prices are skyrocketing out of control. So get more trigger time in by using a dry fire device. And heck, training with the TTrigger just makes training more fun. You know, you can do stuff like clearing your home. You can do one of my favorite drills, which is to sit and watch TV, and I have this set up, and I pick out a character on a show that I'm watching or whatever I'm watching, and every time that character comes up, I draw my gun and shoot. And this is going to give you a lot more trigger time, and it's going to make it a lot more fun. Next up, I want to talk about training scars. I hear a lot of people say, well, Chris, I don't want to use a device like this because it's going to cause training scars. Well, what you need to realize is that you can get training scars from using any training tool in a way that it's not supposed to be used. You can get plenty of training scars from live fire training, because on a live fire range, most of the time you cannot turn around. You'll get kicked off the range if you turn around. So if you get into a gunfight on the street, you're going to be doing this crazy thing where you're acting like you're not in a 360 environment and you're afraid to even turn around. I'll tell you, every dry fire tool and even live fire training has its benefits and its drawbacks. So whether it's live fire, whether it's airsoft training, laser training, or even just racking your slide to get the exact feel of what your trigger feels like, they all need to be used to make you a better shooter. Okay, before we actually get into how to use the TTrigger, we need to go over some safety rules for dry fire training. First up is to check to ensure that your firearm is not loaded, there is no magazine in the magazine well, and there are no rounds in the chamber. Do this both visually and physically. Number two is you need to take all your ammunition, all your real magazines, and put them in another room, or if you can't do that, make sure you lock them up in a box if it's going to be in the room you're training in. Number three is I want you to say out loud, I am dry fire training. And if there's anybody in the place that you're training, if it's in your house, make sure you let them know that you're dry fire training. You don't want them to walk in and see what you're doing and think that you have a loaded weapon. Everyone needs to know what you're doing, especially yourself and those around you. Number four on the list, make sure you have a plan. If you take your training seriously, do not just pick up your firearm, go through all the safety stuff, put the magazine in there and just start pulling the trigger randomly. You are going to get random results if that's how you train. And if you want good results, have a good training plan. Finally, remember this. If you have an accidental or negligent discharge during dry fire training, guess what? You are not dry fire training. All right, now installing your TTrigger to start your training is really quite simple. First thing you're going to do is, like we just discussed, you're going to make sure that your firearm is safe. There's nothing in the chamber, there's no magazine in the magazine well, and then make sure you rack your slide. You are going to set your firing pin, take your TTrigger dry fire training device and insert it, and it's going to be a little stiff, that's what she said, going in, and you probably need to give it a little bump and pull on it to make sure that it's set in there. Now, the first time you do this, the trigger pull, the first one is going to be a little stiff. I wanted to say something else, but I said that again. Now I have to say, that's what she said. Anyways, pull it. And now it is set, the mechanism is set, so now you can start training, and every time you pull the trigger, the device will reset the trigger so you can start training. Now, I have used several other trigger resetting devices before for my Glocks, and I can tell you that this one, the TTrigger, definitely feels more durable. It's easier to use, it's easier to install. Other ones have different steps that you have to go through to be able to set the mechanism. And the price, the last time I checked, is a bit less than other devices. So if you want to improve your training, be able to train at home or anywhere else you go, save money, you can get your very own TTrigger by going to ttrigger.com/Chris and use the discount code Chris15, and you will get 15% off your entire order. All right, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you share this video with your friends and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified every time I post new content. And with that, until next time, keep paving your path to perfection.